Welcome to Tree Talking Time, where we talk all things tree dogs. From the smallest fights to the largest hounds, treating squirrels to bears and everything in between. And from time to time, we might even run a little fast game.
Zachary, how old were you when you come down here hunted in the summer? About 16, 15,
I think I was 18.
18?
I was 18. Yeah, I was in college too when I first started. So,
Okay.
um, and my parents got mad at me about college. I guess I made really good grades, but I got in some trouble, and so the punishment was to send me down here and hang out with my grandfather. But I guess I got a new addiction from it.
Yeah.
And then we've taken some time off, and now we're back at it.
There you go. So you had never ran dogs until you were about 18?
When I was a kid, I guess, I came down here. I guess we hunted a couple summers when I came down. But now, Tennessee, where I was at, my dad was doing a lot of steel hunting, and I was playing a lot of sports growing up. So
Okay.
I never really had time to hunt. I was always at the ball field and things like that. So my first experience running dogs and coon hunting was when I was 18 that summer after my freshman year at college. And it was hard to go back. I went back home and I got a dog of my own, and that's my biggest regret. I wish I had more time for him, but then,
Yep.
life hit me, had a family, got a job, and full-time school. So
Yeah.
I didn't hunt for a long time, and now we're back.
Good deal. Well, for the listeners, that's my buddy Zach, no last name, but I guess we can actually say your last name now.
That's right. Yes, sir.
Zach Conkey and his grandfather Bruce.
Yes, sir.
And now, Bruce, you own Conkey. What is the official name? Conkey's Outdoors now?
Well, on our website, it's Conkey's Outdoors, or just we have the domain name just Conkey's.
Okay.
Sort it up, but Conkey's Outdoors.
Gotcha.
It started off being Conkey's Hound and Hunting Supply.
That's what I thought. I thought it was something like that.
That was the first business license we had and corporation name that we had.
But you guys sell a little bit of everything now.
Yeah, we've kind of expanded out a little bit, and actually, we have a lot of deer hunters down here that run their dogs and run deer dogs. They buy a lot of collars at a time. Or coon hunters buy 2 or 3.
Yep.
The deer hunters buy 10 or 15.
Oh yeah.
That's right.
Well, let's get into the backstory of you, and then we'll kind of get into how Conkey started, because I kind of want to get to know who Bruce is and how you got before we even get to how we got to Conkey's Outdoors, and let's find out how you started hunting.
Well, sometimes I wondered that myself. I didn't have a father growing up. He decided there was better things in life than sticking around with the family, and my mom, she raised me, stuck by me and my brother, and she worked her fingers to the bone to support us. When I was a young man, say, I think I was about 14, I got some type, I'm not even sure what kind of hound dog it was. It was a mixed hound, just like most kids start out with.
Yeah.
And I couldn't drive. I didn't have nobody take me to the woods, but I'd kind of sit on the front porch and talk to that dog at night. And I'd tell him someday we'd be hunting. And I didn't even know anything about coon hunting or what I wanted to hunt. I went fox hunting. A couple of guys took me fox hunting a time or two.
Mm-hmm.
But that wasn't my cup of tea. I mean, those guys turned out 30, 40 dogs.
Jeez.
Everybody claimed that was their dog barking, and that was their dog barking. And I just said, how do these guys know? And I've learned that some of them probably did know or come close, but there were just so many dogs.
Oh, yeah.
And you'd run the fox all day, and then you spend half the night trying to catch the dogs up so you could go home. There wasn't no tracking devices back then.
Yeah.
And it just, I didn't think that was my cup of tea. I wanted coon hunting, and what I'd read about it, which was in there was 3 major outdoor magazines at the grocery stand. There was Sports and Field, Outdoor Life, and Field and Stream. So, that's where I got my coon hunting information and stuff from.
Okay.
And they printed very little about it.
Yeah.
But of course, where the red fur grows, they were all see that story.
Yeah.
But I sat on the porch and kind of just talked to my dog, and I kind of would explain to him that someday we're going to be hunting and kind of what I wanted out of life. I wanted to be a stable family person.
Yeah.
I wanted to have a stable job that had benefits where I had vacation and sick leave and stuff.
Hmm.
And, I look at back now and I say, I was just talking to my dog, but God was listening.
Yeah.
Because everything that I've kind of told that dog that I wanted is kind of worked out in my life.
Hmm.
Had two kids, uh, got a job at a power plant after I moved from South Florida to North Florida, worked there 29 years, was able to retire and then go full time in the Coffee Sound and Hunting Supply.
Okay.
So, but my first experience with real registered UKC registered hounds probably started back in about 1968, 69. I was in South Florida.
How old were you?
Everglades is where we hunted.
Okay.
About a 90-minute drive from the house just to get out there.
Jeez.
There's a road down in the Everglades called Loop Road. It would go in on 40 Mile Bend, and I think it was about 23 miles long. It would come out on the other end of Pabambi Trail.
Hmm.
We drive down that. There was no roads off of that because it was all swamp. And we just turned the dogs loose, and we would just follow them. And they were pack dogs back then. And the man I was hunting with, his name was Willard Smith. I met him through an ad in the Miami Herald newspaper. He was selling a hound puppy.
Nice.
So I bought a hound puppy from him. Me and the wife went over there. I got married after high school. I got married at about 18.
Hmm.
A little bit married now. We're going on 55 years.
Congratulations. Something to be proud of today.
Yes, sir. Me and Willard, we hunted. He was from Murphy, North Carolina. Went up there a time or two and hunted the mountains. And I figured out real quick that the mountains weren't for me. I was a swamp guy. No matter how deep that water got, and it was deep. So those mountains were not for me. And we hunted them dogs and we'd turn them out and catch them. And they were trail walkers.
Okay.
I did pick up a blue tick along the way, but actually one turned out to be, I picked up two sisters. And one of them actually turned out to be a kind of a natural tree dog, but I really didn't understand that back then.
Gotcha.
I mean, she just started treeing on her own.
Hmm.
And everybody that kind of knew anything about hunting other than me said, man, she's still Wander. They named all kind of names on her. But unfortunately, she passed away about a year or so later. So I didn't have her that long to really appreciate what she was doing.
Yeah.
But, it proceeded from there. I mean, that was in 68. And some of the guys, and there was only down there in South Florida, if you see a dog box on the back of a truck, that was a rare thing.
Oh, I'm sure.
There was just a handful of us.
Hmm.
There were a lot of guys that had airboats and swamp buggies that went out in the swamps to their camps and stuff. But they didn't, some of them have had hounds, but they didn't have a bunch of hounds like, the coon hunters and stuff had, or the fox hunters.
Okay.
But I kind of got hung up on the house bred dogs.
Hmm.
Because a couple of them were down there. And so that's kind of the breeding that was what I favored.
Yeah.
And then I guess we rolled the clock forward to about 1973. And me and my buddies in South Florida, we read the American Cooner magazine every month.
Hmm.
Page, cover to cover, page by page.
Yeah.
And a gentleman by the name of Roy Tramble, who was president of PKC one time. He'd been pretty valuable person to PKC over the years.
Hmm.
He had an ad in there. This was before PKC. He had a dog called Kentucky Little Jeff, and he had a son named Jeff, and they named this dog Little Jeff. And all three of us, being the two guys I hunt with, we each bought a puppy, probably about a month or so apart. And one guy, he didn't like his so much, but the other two, we loved ours.
Yeah.
And they made pretty nice hounds. But that kind of struck up a friendship with Mr. Tramble. Like it's been very valuable to me. It taught me a lot about life and taught me a lot about dogs. But Mr. Roy, once PKC started and Jarvis Ofer started PKC, Mr. Roy was his right-hand man.
Okay.
He lined up the guides and the judges and stuff for all these large hunts. And after these hunts would happen, I'd call Mr. Roy on Sunday and Monday, and he kind of filled me in on the going on of what happened at the hunts, and
Mm-hmm.
I could pick his mind about dogs and good dogs, and what it took to make a good dog. So he kind of schooled me. He taught me a lot. He taught me about like running a club,
Yeah.
how important the judges are. You need to you want to run a club good. You put the men judging that can take control of a cast
Mm-hmm.
and be stern when they need to be stern, but just and know the rules. And he shared some stuff with me that I never really shared with anybody else. But because his job for him at times was frustrating. I mean,
Oh, I'm
every
sure.
weekend he dealing with some of the hardest coon hunters in the country, trying to keep them
Yep.
under control and do everything right. And
Yep.
sometimes he gets frustrated at it. But so I think it was a good relationship for both of us. And over time, I hunted with him. I went up to Kentucky and hunted with him a few times. And he actually come down. We had a hunt in Lake City, Florida. He came down and hunted there. But over the years, and the latter years, we owned a couple of dogs together. But he I was just so thankful that I
Mm-hmm.
had a man like that I could talk to and help me understand the sport.
Yeah. I find it a lot of people that have been successful in hounds had a good mentor. Whether that was, for a lot of people it's a father, an uncle, a grandfather, something. But then, in my case too, it wasn't somebody I was related to. So, but just having somebody that can teach you, and I'm not saying there's guys that can't figure it out, and there have been, but you just learn so much more when you've got somebody, even just to bounce an idea off of. You think you might know something, but just having somebody to listen to you and be like, yeah, that's right, or no, you're not quite right. You can just learn so much more.
Yeah, and that's exactly what he was. I mean, he helped me so much and helped me understand dogs. And back in the early days, everybody, are the dogs better then than they are now? Well, back in the early days, like I've been trying to think. It was several years of coon hunting before I ever heard the term slick treeing.
Yeah.
I bet we might miss every now and then, but or babbling.
Mm-hmm.
If our dogs babbled back then, it's because of the way we trained them. We started a puppy that was too young to keep up in those swamps, and they get out there barking around. But
Mm-hmm.
you didn't have all the loose mouth dogs that you have today.
Okay.
You didn't have all the slick treeing dogs that you have today.
Mm-hmm.
And and I'm sure not saying that they were perfect back then.
Yeah.
But when I went to North Carolina and coon hunted up there in Murphy, those guys they left the house with a double-edged axe under their arm, and they didn't carry their axe because they going to chop down a tree and not see a coon.
Yeah.
I mean, they felt their dogs were going to tree a coon, and they did.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not as perfect as some tree them today, but they would tree you a coon.
Yeah.
So that's and like I say, my it's funny about the back in those days. The phone calls I made to Mr. Roy was all on my dime, long distance. You had to pay
Oh
long
yeah.
distance.
Yep.
And my house payment, I lived in the city and had a nice 3-bedroom, 1-bath block house, paid $100, $110 a month for the house payment. And I'd run up $100 bills talking to Mr. Travel. and my wife was none too happy about that, but
Yeah. I bet.
I'd keep it down a little bit. And heck, back in those days, I had questions. I'd call up and talk to John Wick. I made a
Uh-huh.
relationship with John Wick.
Yeah.
And I actually had to save a letter here not too long ago because he's pretty much now just accepting letters and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I talked to him in the early days and tried to help me with my dogs. And then as I went on the road to start traveling with the hunt supplies, I would see him at pretty much the hotels we stayed at. Him and Mark Zepp would stay there.
Okay.
It'd be early morning. He was an early riser, and I'd be down there eating breakfast, and John would be down there eating breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
And we'd be talking, and I'd be picking his brain about dogs and see what he could tell me the secret to success. And I don't think there's no secret. You just got to do it.
Yeah. Oh, there's
Uh,
tips and tricks. There's definitely tips and tricks. And some people just have a knack for things.
yeah, and I've always enjoyed the sport, but I never felt that like you mentioned mentoring.
Mhm.
You know, Mr. Roy, he mentored me.
Mhm.
I had to do that with Corey here.
Yeah.
I tried to do that with Zachary. And that's more important to me. That dogs come and dogs go.
Yeah.
But friendships are forever, and
Exactly.
just seeing people that are happy doing what they're doing and they have some success at it. They understand the game,
Mhm.
and it's not a big ego thing. I mean, we're all men, and we all have egos, and sometimes we think we want to be the best, to have the best dogs, but them dogs will humble you real quick. If you,
Yes, they will. The minute you claim they can do something or won't do something, they'll turn around and make a liar out of you.
and back in the early days, though, back in about 1976, I told you that I like the house bred dogs.
Hmm.
House's Tom Tom had won the world championship, and a man by the name of Harold Trusty had purchased him. He lived over in Arkansas. So me and a buddy of Miami, we sent a female to have her bred to House's Tom Tom.
Hmm.
And we had 4 pups out of that litter. And this must have been 77, 78. And I kept 2 males. And by that time, Joe House, he started advertising House's Clint in American Cooner.
Okay.
And I got a half brother to him in my house. And House's Clint was a beautiful hound. And mine was all ticked up. He'd get wet. He looked like a blue tick.
Yeah.
But he was a very nice hound. He turned out to be a real solid, steady dog for me.
Hmm.
With minimal training, just take him to the woods, and he had a high tetherball mouth, which was good for South Florida because I could hear him in the water and call him while you're sloshing around, walking in the water.
Yeah.
And his brother, though, I named him Pedro. He was a slick treeing idiot. People say, well, all these slick treeing dogs today. I mean, we're talking about 77, 78. He was just, and he went up to the mountains. I don't think he lasted too long with those guys that carried the axe to the woods.
No, I don't think you
But
cut down too many trees to a
yeah,
slick treeing dog. And
he was bad to slick tree. But I'm glad his brother did. That's all I know.
yeah. Now, have you bred a lot of your own dogs, or did you buy a lot of
No,
dogs?
there's 2 things I've really never done is bred a lot of dogs or sold a lot of dogs.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm not happy with a dog or something happens, I'll give the dog away.
Mm-hmm.
I got some stories here of the different dogs I gave away. And I probably here I got a litter of deerhound pups that's at the house. I gave most of them away. I bred a couple of the wipeout dogs I had, the wipeout blade, the wipeout shine dog. And that was 7 years ago because I got a female back at the house now that was born in my house and kind of went around the country a little bit. And I got her back for breeding purposes.
Mm-hmm.
Breeding dogs, and my MO, if you want to say, my mode of operation was most of the male dogs that I got, or females, their sire was a well-known dog.
Yeah.
I always said, I get them out of a well-known stock of dogs.
Mm-hmm.
And if I got lucky and it was really a good dog, then I would either have a chance of selling it or be able to breed it.
Mm-hmm.
And neither one of those really worked out for me. but all my dogs, like I said, I had dogs out of Stylish Harry. I had dogs out of the original Stylish Harry, or Hickory Nut Harry.
Okay.
I had wipeout dogs, some of the most famous wipeout dogs out there. Them again, I've had, let's see. So like I say, Tom Tom. But I guess the first thing closest to a success story with a dog is Buck Monroe. He was in North Carolina.
Okay.
He has a barbecue restaurants, and he would travel around. He was pretty big in PKC.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw he bred a female from his line of dogs to Hayes Jr. And you had so I got 2 female puppies, and I raised them. And the one female puppy, she had a real good mouth, and the one had a real sorry mouth.
Mm.
So the one had a sorry mouth. I put her with the deer dogs to run deer, and the one had a good mouth. I left her in a pen during deer season, and then broke her out right after deer season. and started training her to try to be a coon dog. And I was
Okay.
working midnight shift. I was on a long-term thing, a midnight shift. So I'd take her first thing in the morning, me and her hit the woods about 6 o'clock in the morning. And she started making a really nice dog. And I went up to, let's see, this was the Breeder Showcase. So it was in Aurora, Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
And they had like 7 inches of rain that week. And we drew out down in Clinton, Kentucky, and drove down there, got out of the truck and crossed the ditch, and it was waist deep in water. My boots were full of water.
Jeez.
And I was engaged in weight then. I didn't realize it, but I was starting to have some health issues that I didn't realize yet until that night. But she done really good in the cast, but I couldn't finish the cast. I got so exhausted out there. And those guys, I mean, I wish I would remember the guys' names because it was a great group of guys, all other 3 guys. And I told them, I said, man, I got a compass. This is, like I said, we're still before the GPS tracking stuff. This is,
Yeah.
You had a compass and the stars. And I said, I can get back to the truck. No, we ain't going to leave you out here, you know. So they got me back to the truck. And when I got back to the clubhouse, Buck Monroe was there. I said, Buck, I said, I got this female. She's doing a good job for me. I think I'd like to give her to you. If you could put one of your handlers with her, I think you'll be really happy with what you can get out of her. And this was, I think the Breeder Showcase was over June or July. And the Fall Super Stakes, that was just a couple months later.
Mm-hmm.
To make a long story short, he finished 3rd in the Super Stakes for her.
Wow.
You know, and
That's
I knew
nice
she was
one.
a good dog, you know, and I knew she could win.
Mm-hmm.
But not with me as a handler. So
Yeah.
I got her to a home where she could win, and I gave it to him. I didn't try to sell her or anything like that. I just want to see her have a chance.
Yep.
And she showed out pretty good. I mean, she didn't win, but she finished 3rd in the,
Mm-hmm.
I think it was whatever division it was, junior or senior, of the Super Stakes.
Gotcha.
And that's, you know, and I've had a few dogs that did those, you know, did that kind of stuff, and after they got a little bit of age or something on them, I'd give them away to somebody.
Yeah.
Because I just didn't like to see them set in the pen. And if I wasn't hunting them, you know, a man can only hunt so many dogs.
Oh yeah.
Pretty much doing it good, he can hunt one dog.
Yeah.
You know, so I just felt it was better to move her on out. I had about 2015, I had a dog named Shine. Well, I had a dog named Blaze and a dog named Shine. Me and James Wright had we bought Blaze together.
Okay.
I think when we bought him, he was already a platinum champion.
Mm-hmm.
We were just, but I think when we finished up between PKC and CHKC, he had a little over $30,000 one.
Nice.
Got him in the Final Four with Truck Hunt
Mm-hmm.
and CHKC. I'd say James did. I was actually in Paywood, Georgia, with Torrey hunting another truck hunt up there that weekend. And he finished 3rd, won $4,000 with him. Bone Collector won that cast and picked him up another truck that weekend. He has several to his resume.
Yeah.
But Bone Collector, he was a top hound. I mean, I think he's one of the top hounds that's
Mm-hmm.
been out there.
Oh yeah.
But the Shine dog, I used to be on the UKC message board quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think anybody that's been on the UKC message board knows you.
yeah, yeah, mostly probably bad because I love to get into, you know, just get people thinking. That's what it was, is to get people thinking.
Yeah.
So many people on there would not voice your opinion unless you gave a counter opinion to get them a little angry or get them to want to speak.
Yeah.
They just wouldn't come on there and speak their piece unless you kind of stirred it up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But it's, you know, I enjoyed it. I meant no harm to nobody. Matter of fact, there was a gentleman on there that had red bones. He went by Old Timer.
Okay.
And the Blakesley bred red bones, kind of the bigger dogs with the long ears and stuff. And boy, I had fun with him. But actually, Saturday, I noticed my phone. He called me Saturday. I tried to get back with him, but he's up in Minnesota. He didn't answer when I called him back. But, you know, like I say, he calls from time to time and we chat and stuff. I mean, there's really no hard feelings or anything. I mean, we're all housemen and we love our dogs.
Yep.
We just kind of a different angle.
Mm-hmm.
But the Shine dog on the message board, Kyle Short up in Indiana, he said he was looking for a dog to hunt. Well, on the message board, everybody was talking about the North dog versus the South dog, and how the South dogs couldn't handle the snow. And, we all talk how the Northern dog couldn't handle the armadillos and the swamps. But anyway, Kyle, I called him, and because I set her up there to him. And I said, you hunt her, we'll split her. I said, I own her all right now, but you hunt her, I'll split her with you. And Kyle actually finished third in the Super Stakes with her when she was a young dog.
Mm-hmm.
At this time I'm talking here, she's probably 6 years old, maybe 7.
Okay.
And Kyle took her up there. It was in December. And he immediately went right to the top of the state standings. And she stayed there until she came in heat. He had to quit hunting her. And then we got a male dog called Long Shot Frank. And he took him right toward the top of the state standings. But Shine, while she was up there, she didn't win the state that year, but she did good while she was able to hunt. And she also picked up a truck ticket. And Kyle and I, about 6 months later, we kind of ended our partnership a year later.
Okay.
And I got her back down here just before the truck hunt. Corey, he got his reservations at the motel and stuff to go. And then she come in heat. So we did not make the truck hunt with her.
Oh, wow.
But she was a nice, steady dog. Well, probably one of the better females I own. And the Blaze dog, he was a nice hound.
Mm-hmm. Very nice.
So that's kind of. Now we did have one other dog. Yeah, I like to mention, well, maybe 2 more. In 2015, or probably 2014, 2013, I got a dog. I saw him for sale on the message board. And he came out of North Carolina. His name was Mongo.
Okay.
And this dog, he was an extremely driven dog. When you go to get him out of the dog box or the dog pen, he wouldn't like look at you and be friendly. He would like look right through you, like, get me out of here and just let me go. I'm going to go tree it.
Yep.
And Corey, we went up there and Corey hunted him in the Super Stakes. And we took 2 dogs, actually. We took our main dog was a dog out of Drop Dead Fred that we had hunted all summer, had her ready, we thought. And it's kind of a funny story here, but this was in, I think, Sullivan, Indiana. Corey drew out with 3 guys. I don't know how this happened, but they'd all rode together from another state in the same truck, and he draws all 3 of them in the cast. Well, on the way up there, as soon as we got to Indiana, I'm looking at these trees, and I'm saying, Corey, they're not going to be any circle trees. They're going to be coon or they're going to be modest. And I said, it's going to be our favorite.
Mm-hmm.
With those 3 guys, there was a lot of circle trees that night. And one of them was kind of funny is Corey, he manufactured or to work with a light manufacturer, and we had a pretty bright light.
Mm-hmm.
And this one guy, Corey says, I can't see the top of that tree. So Corey gave him his cap light. He looked up there. He said, yeah, I can see up there now. But he says, I can't score that tree with your light. I got to score it with my light. So it was a circle tree.
Oh,
but it is what it is. I mean, that's what happens in some of these casts. And, it's what you remember and kind of chuckle about.
Mm-hmm.
But the funny part is the next night, we drew just north of Sullivan there, and there's some rocks and stuff up there. And there was I think this dog got snake bit. It looks just like a snake bite that I see down here.
Okay.
But the vet up there says, well, they ain't never seen a dog with a snake bite up there. Other people said they ain't never seen a dog with a snake bite. But when we went up there, we took Mongo as a backup.
Okay.
When I travel, I always like to take another dog as a backup just in case something like this happens.
Yeah.
And what we do, we had him boarded at the vet. So we just took Diva was her name, the Drop Dead Fred female. We took her there, left her in the vet with her swollen leg, let the vet treat it. and Wednesday night, Corey hunted bongo. And Corey, like I said, he was a young guy that I met on his graduation night, probably 17 years old. And he come by the house and picked up some coon lights. And I'm like, anybody that's got to go coon hunting on their graduation night, and I'm going to give him a deal. He's probably a pretty good fella. And that's how me and Corey started hunting together. He started working with me not long after that. And he's still with me. It's been, I don't know, a dozen years or so.
Yeah. That's
So,
awesome.
how old was Corey last week? 31, 32?
30, big 30.
30.
Okay.
I mean, but we went to the Super Stakes. And like I said, our main dog, Diva, she got what I felt was snake bit, but whatever. She got crippled up and swelled up on the hunt. So we took Mongo out, and he hunted him Wednesday night, 1-2 cast. Came back Friday night, 1-2 cast, and next thing we know, we're in the final cast on Saturday with him.
Nice.
And there was a man named Sluggo. He had just won the CHKC World Hunt with a dog he had in the final cast named Bali, and one of the Stoller boys, brothers in there. And I can't remember that dog's name, but it was a quality hound.
Mm-hmm.
And the one it was a funny story in the beginning, and then it kind of went downhill for us. But the funny story is when they cut him loose, there was an old house or old barn just to the left of where they cut him, and a house cat stepped out.
Uh-oh.
And Mongo run over there and barked 4 or 5 times, and he barked enough of the house cat to get him some 100 minor strike points.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then he checks out, and he actually got deep and had first strike, first tree on a coon.
Mm-hmm.
Sluggo's dog was treated a little bit deeper than his, and the Mr. Stoller's dog, I don't think he had got on the board yet, but the play-by-play is on the message board or somewhere on Google. You can find it, but a minute and 20 minutes to go in the cast, Corey was still winning, but then the wheels fell off a little bit. I think Mongo messed up here, messed up there. To make a long story short, we finished third, which was we were extremely happy about that. I was extremely happy for Corey, because people, there's like, you got to be a professional handler, and you can't win if you don't do this. All Corey did was strike the dog and treat the dog. Yeah, and he didn't do nothing fancy. Mm-hmm. So we took third place there, and we were just tickled to death with that.
Can't beat that for the dog that you didn't even your backup dog that you really weren't ready to be pushing anyway.
Well, yeah, me and him kind of had a falling out. He was doing a very good job for us, and then he fell in love with these armadillos down here. I don't know if you're familiar with armadillos at all.
Nope.
A little critter that has a shell on the back.
Well, I know what it is, but I've never hunted anywhere that has them.
They could drive some dogs crazy. Mongo, he became. I mean, we tried to break even. We were so. I was afraid I was going to ruin him completely if I just put any more pressure on him to stop him. We would let him out of the truck, and he would kind of look around like a bird dog, and he would listen for the armadillos in the palmetto bushes and stuff. And so me and Corey talking about it. What are we going to do? I mean, we kind of shocked him a little bit and a lot, and kind of spanked him a little bit and spanked him a lot, and it wasn't slowing him down.
Yeah.
But, I was on the UKC message board again. I mean, that message board's gave me a lot of help over the years. And there was a man by the name of Jeremy Ball up in Tennessee. And he was looking for a dog to hunt.
Yeah.
And I'm trustworthy of the people. I mean, I don't, I have been taking advantage of some, but most of the time when I trust somebody, it works out. And I contacted Jeremy and I said, hey, I got a dog here that's really a nice dog. But he went armadillo crazy. How about if you take him and hunt him for a while and see if you can get him back liking his coon again? Mm-hmm. And he did. And I think it was probably about 6 months or so he hunted him. And he did a good job for him up there. They won a few casts with him. I think his son won a cast or something with him. and he liked Mongo. Mongo, there was no armadillos.
Yeah.
Mongo, really good job. So then I got him back, and I was kind of scared of hunting, but we hunted him a couple times, and he didn't seem like he wanted anything to do with the armadillo anymore. So it was just kind of a change of scenery,
Yeah.
get his mind back on the coon, and that worked out for us. And that's how we broke him up armadillos. And that was
Interesting.
not really the plan I had to start with, but
Yeah.
not the only came up with at the end.
Exactly.
And
Hey, if it works,
you know,
that's all that matters.
yeah, and we actually he died of old age, probably about 11 and a half, 12 years old at my house here. Zachary got a Hunter Williams son,
Mhm.
and I mean I could take a tree and I could tow him and call him off any tree if he was on the other side of a big creek or something. I mean he was a well mannered, well behaved dog that just had tree and coon on his mind. I mean that's just what he did.
Yeah.
Uh, the uh, the other dog that I had that I really liked, and he kind of ties into my dog supply business a little bit. He was out of Stylish Harry, and his name was Boss, and that's how we named the Boss lights.
Okay.
And some of the equipment and stuff was named after that dog.
Mhm.
And he had one flaw, and I'm not happy that he had that flaw, but I could have never afforded him if he didn't. He was kind of a real whip on a tree. He couldn't take any pressure at all.
Gotcha.
I mean, I've seen female dogs kind of growl at him,
Mhm.
and he gone up that tree.
Gotcha.
Now, there was nothing going on in the tree. He tree right there with them. But if anything, and I'm not saying it was even their fault. He thought there was aggression going to happen. He'd
Yeah.
check out on it. But
Mhm.
with all that said, still, he was a Grand Night champion and silver champion. And I hunted hauled him around the country and hunted him in some of the bigger hunts and did fair with him.
Mhm.
But he was just a nice, steady dog. But he just had that one flaw that he did not take pressure on the tree.
Yeah. It seems like you've hunted a lot of PKC. Is that kind of the case, or more PKC? It sounds like I should say.
Yeah. I don't know with I like their format. I
Mhm.
like their format of hunting that there was going to be a winner in the cast.
Okay.
I mean, I finished the first weekend I got Boss. I finished him out to a Grand Night champion. One hunt Friday night and Saturday night. I had a little red bone. She has some Taylor guitar breeding in her, and I made a night champion out of her. And actually, Zachary was hunted her one summer when he come down here to night hunt. That was a UKC hunt. But no, most of my hunting has been PKC.
Okay.
One year, what we did do though is in San Mateo here where I live, just outside of Palaca, we started a CHKC club.
Okay.
Reggie Ramsey was running CHKC,
Mhm.
and we had that club a year. And the purpose of that was we still do now with our PKC club. We want to get new hunters. We want to get the guys that haven't really experienced competition hunts, guys that have a dog they think they can hunt in a hunt.
Yeah.
Ropes. And so CHKC, we bought several new people that could come in, and we kind of had the feeling that the PKC guys wouldn't come and maybe rough them up because they got good dogs. I mean, there's PKC hunters right here got some very, very, very nice hounds.
Yeah.
But but we wanted to give the guys that weren't experienced maybe a chance
Gotcha.
and taste what it was like to maybe win a little bit. And so that's why we had the CHKC club for a year,
Mhm.
and even at our club here, some of our some nights on Tuesday when we have two clubs hunts a month, Ike and some of his guys will come over, but
Mhm.
sometimes they don't, and we have two or three guys here that's never been in a hunt before.
Mhm.
We got one guy, he's hunted as a guest hunter a couple of times. Uh, you know, and just trying to bring new people into the sport,
Yeah.
let them understand what it's about, and see just what it's like out there in the woods.
Mhm.
And
That's
that's
awesome.
that's Corey and Zachary. They're all into that. And most of these young guys that come are their friends that they made and stuff,
Mhm.
or here at the store, or people that Corey know. And it's just good. I think it's good for the sport.
Yeah, definitely.
Any other question about any of my dogs or anything?
No, I was kind of wanting to get into how did Conkey's Hounds and Hunting start, and how then turn into Conkey's Outdoors.
Well, back in 2007, Garmin was fixing to come out with their Astro 220
Mm-hmm.
and their DC 20 collar.
Yep.
And I had just was fixing to reach 25 years in the power plant. And they come out with a new program that they would give you something of $800 value or less. You just tell them what it is, tell them where to buy it, and they'd have it shipped to the store or to the power plant, and then they give you a little
Mm-hmm.
presentation in front of a couple of people.
Yeah.
Well, I have my old tracking system, the wildlife tracking system, but I saw this was coming out. And I said, well, let me get this. I wasn't going to spend. Well, I think it was $600 for it, but I wasn't going to spend that on myself.
Yeah.
Kind of a cheap hunter like these other, like a lot of hunters are. Well, we were on a budget,
Oh, yeah.
and kids, and so I put in the paperwork and I had it coming, but I said, I need to sell this thing. I need a buddy board. I need a tracking system. So I put it on the UKC message board for sale. And a truck driver from Colorado contacted me. I said, well, I ain't got it yet, but it should be here in a couple of weeks. And as soon as I get it, we'll come together, we'll figure out how you give me the money. PayPal was a big thing back then.
Yeah.
And I'll send it to you. Well, a buddy of mine, I think the next weekend or maybe the weekend afterwards, he called me and he says, I hear you're getting one of them tracking systems. I said, yeah, but I sold this thing already. He said, man, you don't want to do that. I said, what do you mean? He said, I saw one at a hunt this weekend and they're nice. I said, well, I got this one sold. He said, well, I think you ought to buy some more. So that's kind of where it started. I found some for sale. I wasn't a Garmin dealer at the time. I found some for sale. And I didn't mention, but over a year or two before that, I had got a business license, which was maybe, I don't know, 15, 20 bucks. You go down to your local agency and get those.
Mm-hmm.
And I also applied for a tax ID number because I don't know if Zachary can tell you, I'm kind of a stickler for doing things the right way.
Okay.
And so what I would do is I'd buy some dog collars in bulk and share them with some deer hunters and stuff.
Okay.
And just say, or I'd buy some leashes or leads and I'd share with some friends and then I would just fill out the paperwork and for the taxes and, but we saved a little bit of money doing that. But so I already had the tax ID and I already had my business license.
Gotcha.
So I kind of went on the open marketplace and started buying some Garmins. And they sold like hotcakes.
I'm sure.
And that started a couple different things. That's how I started the business. And, Autumn Oaks and Winter Classic and those other big hunts, I had really never been to them before.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had a buddy here that was helping me. And he said, well, we need to start going to them hunts. I said, that sounds good to me. So I started going to the Winter Classic and Autumn Oaks and Southeastern Trail Walker Days and went for them for about 10 or 11 years. The COVID kind of took the wind out of my sails there.
Oh, yeah.
Which we never really, we've done such a good job here at the store with the internet and our customer. We built up a customer base that I miss going there, and we may go back here in a year or so. It's something that Zachary and Corey mentioned to me not long ago, and I've been thinking about it ever since.
Mm-hmm.
Getting another supply trailer and kind of getting back out on the road because you meet a lot of great people out there.
Oh, yeah.
And same people. So same people will be at Autumn Oaks and the same people will be at Southeastern Trail Walker Days and and those hunts. Southeastern Trail Walker Days, it used to be Salisbury, North Carolina. And then they moved it down to Union, South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
But man, I loved it. And North Carolina was way more driving for me. But I loved it up there. And there was a guy by the name of Bobby Shaw that had the house bred dogs that I dealt with back in the 70s. and he had fell out of a tree coon hunting, was paralyzed.
Ooh.
But he was there every year in his wheelchair.
Mm-hmm.
Get a chance to see him and talk to him a little bit. It just you create a lot of friends and stuff going to these hunts.
Oh yeah.
And working with other vendors and stuff, you know, you help them out if you can, and they help you out.
Mm-hmm.
But back to the beginning in the Garmin Astro, I then shortly after that, and I'm not maybe within a year, is when I applied to get my Garmin dealership, to be a Garmin dealer. And the Garmin, the 220 and the DC20 collar, the DC20 collar, there were some that were very, very good. But there were some that they were not very good. They had electronic problems and they just didn't work very good. They weren't as waterproof as they should be.
Okay.
Their antenna systems on them weren't what they should be.
Yeah.
And I met a man in Nancy, Kentucky. His name was Kevin Raywater. And me and him kind of got together and partnered up. And we started making aftermarket products for not only the Astro, but the DC20.
Yeah.
And what it was just improving the antennas.
Okay.
The first popular antenna in this country was a metal folding antenna. And I got a bunch of them and I sold them. And they were good, but then the metal antenna, they're standing out about 18 inches, but people catch them in the truck doors. They try to fold them the way they shouldn't fold. They break them. So then we kind of went to longer rubber antennas and stuff.
Okay.
But we just grew from there. And then also in the collars, we grew with a aftermarket antenna that was, the right length for the frequency. And some other guys had done it, but some of them, don't think they got exactly the right length, because the ones we sold a bunch of them, and a lot of people were happy with them.
Good.
And, like I said, Kevin Raywater, he in Nancy, Kentucky, he worked at a prison, and his son also worked at a different prison over the maintenance and stuff. Kevin, he was very sharp on building lights and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And up until that time, when I started out, I was dealing with Mike Kelly. I was selling K-lights.
Okay.
Mike Kelly, he was a great guy to deal with, and his daughter Sandy. I mean, man, even today we still buy a lot of thermal equipment and stuff from her, different people. But we buy stuff from Sandy. Man, I got to give her thumbs up. Her father passed away, and she carried the company on, and she had quite a workload to stay out there going to these shows and stuff.
Yeah,
and she's a hard worker.
Mm-hmm.
And she's always been, fair with me. And if I needed something, I could give her a call, and she'd get it shipped here just as soon as she could.
Good deal.
And it's vice versa, It's this way with me, with most of these dog supply people. You think we're competitors, and we are, and we can get on one another's nerves at times. But I've been helped out so much of shows, run short of something, and that they sell me a supply of it, or vice versa. They run short.
Yeah,
I sell them a supply of it, and it's a really a good bunch of guys out there. I mean, now Johnny Dalton with Valley Creek, we work with him, and he's helped us out in the past. Michael Roseman with Sunfire Lights.
Yeah,
I talk to Michael's frequently, and he's helped. But in the beginning, it was just I got kind of tied up with Kevin, and the situation there was Kevin worked and he had not retired yet, so I was able to take all the phone calls. He couldn't take all the calls for the lights.
Yeah.
So I'm the guy that I sold lights to the dealers, and I sold lights to the public, and I was kind of the marketing guy. And Kevin, he was the guy that put the lights together, him and his son.
Yeah.
And one thing about them is I think there's a lot of tweaking and stuff that could go on with these lights and these LED lights, because this is when the LED lights, they came into play. Before it was all the bulb lights.
Yep.
And so we were the foundation of the LED lights. And Kevin had a lot of good ideas, and he done a really, really good job. And him and I think the main thing is we both felt the same about the customer. We were both determined to take care of the customer.
Mm-hmm.
I would argue with Kevin, like, hey, Kevin, how come we haven't shipped this? Kevin, it was high priority to get things shipped to the customer.
Yeah.
It was high priority for me and my business to get things shipped to the customer. And so we traveled around most of these bigger shows. We would set up together under one large tent,
mm-hmm.
and he would kind of sell the lights, and I'd sell the Garmins. And but then we just grew and grew and grew. And the last couple of shows, he had his own tent, and I was right across the street, another tent.
Yeah.
People say, you guys fighting? They're like, no. I call, Kevin. He's went through throat cancer, a lot of things here recently, and I call him up frequently. And Kevin just been another man that the good Lord brought into my life. That's a blessing.
Yeah.
Kevin was a great guy to work with.
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of built the light business, and as the Garmins went along, we did aftermarket stuff for the Garmins. On the little DC-20, they had an H-shaped plastic plate on the back that had 4 screws, and you attach it to your collar, and the collar slid through. Well, that thing would crack and break. I had those made. I had a guy with a CNC machine make those out of aluminum.
Okay.
That was a selling item. Those aftermarket antennas that went on them. That was still a hot selling item today.
Yeah.
Replacement. So just been able to do things like that. And Mark Zepp, he is, I don't know the exact title, but he is kind of over several of the dog supply dealers that sell the Garmin. Mm-hmm. And he was a friend of mine back when he was with Tritronics, and even before. He used to work for John Wick.
Yep.
Advertising his hunting clothes and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I've known Mark for a long time. And Mark had his squallers, and Mark had his coyote hunting stuff, his predator calls, and his DVD. I talked to him pretty regular because of our relationship with Garmin. But what it did is, by selling a lot of Garmins, it allowed us to get feedback from the customers.
Mm-hmm.
What was wrong with them, what they didn't like about them, what they needed to improve. And I was sharing that with Mark. And I know a lot of people don't think it's true, but Garmin listened.
Yeah. Garmin
really made an attempt to try to make improvements on all this stuff from the 220s to the 320s, the 430s to the Alphas, the Alpha 100, the 200, now the 300. And we've been fortunate. I got another grandson that works here. His name is John. He's been with me since he was in high school. 2 years before COVID, he went out to Garmin and was in meetings with them, helping, plan and talk about and develop the products. What can we do better? Zachary, myself, and Corey, in a store here, we've had Zoom meetings with them, and they're in. And the other hunt supply companies, though, they have too. It's been us and about 3 or 4 other people on the telephone, and next year it might be 2 or 3 other different people.
Mm-hmm.
But Garmin but Garmin listens, and then they're really concerned about trying to do better. And some of the stuff, I won't be the first to admit, they could have done better, should have done better. But it's life. It's just like every product that we sell. It was electronics, even down to the boots. In the manufacturing process, we'll be going along selling a boot. Everybody loves that boot. All of a sudden, the soles will start falling off.
Mm-hmm.
They got a bad batch of glue on their assembly line or something. And for a month or so, until they get it caught, it might even be a month, you get a bunch of bad boots out there.
Yep.
And, Buck Boot or Lacrosse or whoever that company is, the Buck Boot, they get a bad rap for the sole coming off the boot. Well, they need to be responsible for it, but the people kind of need to be, I guess when you're out in the woods, your feet are wet and it's cold. You're not very understanding.
It's hard to be understanding at that point. Yep.
But our goal is just make it right. If something happens and the product's not right or there's a flaw, hey, we'll make it right. And I used to tell people when these Garmins first came out, we do a lot of tech work on the phone, telling people how to use the stuff, troubleshoot the product. And I tell so many people, Now, I love you to buy your product for me, but I don't care where you buy this Alpha or Astro.
Hmm.
If you don't have one, you need to get one.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just they're just that amazing product.
Hmm.
And Florida, our game commission has even passed laws that our deer dogs have to have those tracking devices on them, so
Okay.
they got control.
Hmm.
And it's just been a good thing. It came along,
Definitely.
and it's helped my business grow tremendously along with the other stuff.
Hmm.
And the lights in the beginning, we just sold the Boss lights, but here recently, through discussion and stuff, we said, well, we should probably sell, I don't know, that 4 or 5 different lights now.
Try to sell every light we can.
Yeah, we sell them.
Yeah.
We got a bunch of them out there in the showroom,
Hmm.
and so and Kevin, he doesn't have a problem with that. Kevin understands that we just want to have what the customer wants. We give our opinion on the lights.
Yeah.
And guys, they hunt the lights and they make videos about the lights and
Hmm.
try to show the customers what the lights do. But we sell several different manufacturers' lights now.
Yep.
It's just the Boss light. But it's I guess the one thing though, it's like anything else. When you're kind of on the inside and know the insides of something, I see people on message boards, Facebook, and they'll throw out a guy's name. This guy makes a great light. Well, I know that guy, and I also know he ain't never made a light in his life. He's buying a light for somebody else.
Yeah.
Or they talk about boots, and they talk about John Wick's boots. I don't think John Wick ever made a pair of boots. John Wick bought boots and put his chaps on them.
Yeah.
And yeah, he was in starting all this, but and he sold some boots that were really good. I love that Grange boot that he used to sell, but my leg got too big for it. It was a lacrosse boot.
Hmm.
It just there's a lot of people that don't have as clear a picture as I do on some of this stuff but that's because it's been my life, and
Yeah.
maybe they've done other things in their life.
Yep. Well, and also one of the benefits of being a supplier is you get to see all the different brands and all the different manufacturers, and you just get a different look at it than what the end consumer does. I have one pair of boots, so I know what that one pair of boots is. I don't know. I've never wore a lacrosse boot, so I don't have any experience with the lacrosse boot. So
Right. And I'd like to what helped me with the lights. I started off with a 2-cell, I guess it was a Sportsman flashlight.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the inside, it was either the inside back cover or the back cover night light.
Yep.
Had a $49 gel cell battery light. And I saw that ad for a long time, and I finally bought one.
Mm-hmm.
And I had that light for probably, I don't know, 2 years or better. And I was at a night hunt one night, and I got out of the truck and strapped it on. And guy asked me, "How's that light?" And I said, "Man, it's great." Well, that light lit up and died, and never worked since. so I went to a wheat light, a little 4-volt wheat light. But here's what I learned about lights. I was at a hunt in Thomasville, Georgia, and there was a guy there from northern Alabama. His name is J.R. Sparkman. He had a dog named Alabama Eagle. He had just won the World Hunt. And I drew him in the cast. And really, I was there with a puppy. And I thought when you entered the puppy, they put the puppies together and they put the older dogs together. But you had to tell them you wanted to hunt the puppy cast.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I draw out. I go to the woods, and there was about half a dozen spectators there. I'm trying to figure out what the heck's going on. And the guy said, "Well, then we're hunting with a dog that just won a world championship." I said, "Well, that's good." Anyway, my dog done real good, and he got it by himself and got a coon tree, but I did not see that coon in that tree. And JR, he had his raw dog light that Jarvis Uppers made with a big spotlight. He shined up at that oak tree, and he found that coon for me. And I told myself right then, if I'm going to competition hunt, I got to get me a brighter light.
Yep.
Because if I'm going to spend the money to travel And those lights, I think, when they were, I don't know, they were about $300 back then.
Yep.
And said, but Jarvis down at the raw dog place, I ordered my light the next day
There you go.
after I got my wife's permission. But and it's the thing. If you're spending the time in the woods, you're spending the time to do anything, it pays to have. Don't skip on your equipment.
Exactly.
That may cost you a cast wood or something like that.
Yep.
You ain't got to have maybe the top of the line best there is, but have something that you're really comfortable with.
AKA, go buy yourself a thermal from Conkey's Outdoors.
Any areas we need to discuss or highlight or anything that
We've talked about your dogs. We've talked about business. Whatever else you want to say.
the one thing that my dogs have done and the business has done is allowed me to meet a lot of good people around the country.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
And for the time I was young, it was good men came into my life. They mentored me. Roy Tramble, my friend down in Miami, and one of the guys, he's still 80-some years old. He's back up in North Carolina, and he coon hunts whatever he can. He's the man I started with, and Willard Smith. But it's just, I've met so many people, that's kind of been part of my life. And I guess myself, I never was a guy to go to parties, and surely wasn't no life of any party. But coon hunters I could talk to.
Yeah.
All the hunters I could talk to. And it just seemed like we were, we kind of bonded and were able to get along and just had a good time doing it. One thing I like to share is, people ask me, well, the dog's different today than they were back in the late 60s, early 70s.
Mm-hmm.
And are they better or are they worse? I think that then and now, it took the same thing for dogs to be successful. You got to start with a genetic foundation.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I think the genetic foundation was maybe, I don't say it's more important, but harder to find back in the 70s because you didn't have a lot of tree stock.
Okay.
The treeing genetics were not there like they are today.
Yeah.
So you kind of knew the guys that had the tree of genetics that you had got dogs from or friends got dogs from. Just like Mr. Tramble, that little Jeff dog that I mentioned that I got some puppies out of, his grandfather was Johnson's Banjo, which that's the dog that, a lot of people say, well, let's put the tree in the tree walker. But, after genetics, your environment is very important. How the mother, she's with those puppies the first 6 weeks, primarily her and the puppies. Little interaction from you, taking her feed or checking on them, but the environment they're in and how the mother interacts with them, and then as you weed them, how do you care for them? You keep them in a clean environment. You let them play, and you let them grow and be healthy. You keep on nutritional food. So the environment is very important. And then, last but not least, is the training and hunting. You got to train them and you got to hunt them.
Mm-hmm.
And, each person has their own thought process on what they wanted in a dog. And your better trainers, your better handlers, they, in my opinion, they know what they have seen and they understand what they want.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what they work to get. They just don't take and they have a dog that ends up doing this or doing something they don't like. They know what they want their dogs to do, and they learn how to get them dogs to do it or move on to a different dog. They set their standards, I guess is what I'm trying to say, for what they want up. But like I say, now genetics nowadays, once the pup's born, the genetics are pretty much, you're not going to get any more, you're not going to get any less. You got what you got.
Mm-hmm.
But nowadays, I think more of the puppies are born with the genetics to make a coon dog, but they need the right environment, they need the right training.
Yeah.
Back in the old days, I'm not saying genetics was more important, but you needed to know where to find the tree in genetics. Mm-hmm. And I wore my hands out patting the side of trees, trying to get dogs a tree, rubbing a tree, and in the 70s, late 60s. And a lot of these dogs just did not wanted Shri, or they didn't know nothing about Shri,
Mm-hmm.
and that was their genetic makeup. Uh, the uh, there's a gentleman too, and how different people breed dogs different ways. And I have a friend in North Georgia, and he believes in some of the old time dogs more than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
And his name is Conrad Fryer, and
Yeah.
he visits me every year when he comes down here, and he has some of the old Tree Blaster bloodlines and some of the old House's Lipper semen, and he has Tree Blaster semen, and his puppies, they're kind of a throwback to the old days. I'm not saying, the thing of it is they suit him, and they're what he enjoys dealing with and handling and training. So we all have it a little bit. We all have it a little bit different what we want to do with our dogs.
Yeah.
But the main thing is just take care of your dog and treat it well and give it a chance.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And one thing on the dog's mouth, I hear people say that, oh, my dog's got a great mouth, or I love my dog's mouth. Well, not everybody likes the way their dog sounds. It's just that's what they enjoy. But there's two things with a dog's mouth. It's got to have volume and the tone. And the volume to me is, especially with older ears, is very important. I want my dogs to be loud. Now, whether they have a tenor ball, or a deeper ball, I can live with either one of those, but they just got to be loud.
Yeah.
That's very important with the dogs. And really, I think that's about all I have to say.
Well, I know we had to twist your arm to get you on here, so I really appreciate you coming on here.
Well, it's done for now. But I just don't, like I say, I think we all do it a little bit differently.
Yeah.
And some people, they do it, a lot better than I do it. They're more successful at it. But what's success? What is success? It's what.
Yeah.
It's what you can find if you can find peace and comfort in it. And I had people back in the '80s tell me, "Well, you need $100 more." Well, I was a family man first. My kids were in sports. My daughter was in basketball and track and field, and my son was in football and weightlifting and basketball.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't miss a high school event that they were in.
Mm-hmm.
I was there watching their games, and if it meant I didn't go coon hunting that night, I didn't go coon hunting that night. I didn't put the dogs in front of my family. I put my family in my dogs.
I'm right there with you. And I think there's some people that could stand to listen to that. I mean, not trying to throw anybody under the bus, but your family and your kids are more important than any dog or any coon hunt. So there's plenty of time to coon hunt later.
Yeah, that's exactly. And when I was a younger man, my wife, like I said, I've been married to be 55 years. It might be 56. I might have to get the calculator out. But later this year, in November, it'll be either 55 or 56. And my wife, when I was younger and go coon hunting, I had so many friends that on the way back, they'd want to stop at a bar, or there was a honky tonk, or however whatever you want to say it, have a drink or have this. And I said, man, I can't do that.
Yeah.
My wife trusts me to go coon hunt.
Yep.
I love the coon hunt.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to break that trust and ruin and have her stop me from going coon hunting because she can't trust me.
Yep.
And that's one of the things that's really been a strong bond in our marriage, is because what I wanted to, be faithful to her and have her trust me, and not break that trust. Absolutely. And I just never really had a taste for, I guess, alcohol, and it's something I just never did. And I've got a lot of friends that drink some, and that's fine, but it just never was for me.
Yep. Well, that's awesome. And I completely agree that your family and then plus your wife's trust and all that trumps any dog, any coon hunt.
And look where I guess where it got me, but look at today. I'm 74 years old. My son, he's retired. He left here and went to Tennessee out of high school. Carson Newman played football on a little scholarship, but now he's retired and moved back and works here at the store. Zachary came down a little over a year ago, maybe 2 years now, right?
That's right.
And he's here at the store with me.
Mm-hmm.
My other grandson's here at the store with me. Forey, who's like a son, he's been with me since he was 18. Him and his wife at the store here with me.
Yep.
So it's a family affair.
Yep.
And I'm first to say that sometimes by being family, it's a little tough.
I'm sure.
It's tough for the reason that people can say, "Well, Grandpa, you just want to make everybody happy." Well, you're my family. I want to make you happy.
Mm-hmm.
I worked at a power plant for 29 years, and I held a pretty responsible position. And if I had to get on somebody or discipline somebody or tell somebody they weren't doing right, that was my job to do that.
Yeah.
But but I'm a grandpa and a father, and I don't want to treat these people. I want to, we're all in this together.
Mm-hmm.
Corey's been a tremendous. Zachary, I keep wanting to call him Corey. Zachary's been a tremendous help. To the business here with his knowledge and that he brought here. Corey and his technical expertise and learning the equipment over the years. It's just all a blessing that I just don't. Sometimes I look in the mirror and say, do you really deserve all the blessings you're getting? But it is what it is, and I'm thankful for it.
Well, I'm thankful for you guys and thankful for you guys coming on, and just want to say thank you very much. And you guys are on tonight because we're announcing that Conkey's Outdoors is the new title sponsor of Tree Talking Time.
We're super excited about it. We really are. Listen to a lot of podcasts, and we're excited to hear from everybody that's followed you and for a long time, and meet some new people too. So we're glad to be a part of it, Ben.
Well, I really appreciate you guys coming on as a title sponsor, and I know at Autumn Oaks we're going to do some giveaways and you guys, and also with Full Cry. So not exactly sure. We're still working out the details on what we're giving away, but make sure I'll be at Autumn Oaks. So stop by and see me at Autumn Oaks and enter some giveaways, and maybe you might win some supplies and a subscription to Full Cry.
Yeah. Well, when we used to go to Autumn Oaks, my son, he started a thing. We always would take a bunch of T-shirts to sell.
Mm-hmm.
And he would say, "Well, flip a coin, and if you win, you get it for free. And if you lose, you pay $10 for it." And I believe we still get people, "Are you going to be at Autumn Oaks?" And that's their messages and shows with their T-shirt. But
yeah.
One day we told everybody to come back at a certain time to take a picture, and we got like a 20 by 42. We had a thing full of people with their T-shirts on that they either bought or won.
Yeah.
But he's quite a talker. He's I know I've talked quite a bit this last hour or so, but I won't talk for another week or so. I'm not really that much of a talker. But Zachary can tell you his father is a talker.
He's going to miss Autumn Oaks this year, so you're going to have to do a lot of talking, Ben, to make up for our absence.
Well, you guys are just going to make sure you get there next year. That's for sure.
That's right.
Anything else?
I appreciate you and appreciate what you do for the houseman and getting the information out there about the dogs and the people.
Well, thank you. And hopefully with your help, your guys' help, we'll have some more great guests coming on.
That's right.
We're working on some things. So
Yeah.
Alrighty. Thank you.
Take care.
Thanks, Ben.
You can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Tree Talking Media. And until next time, keep them talking in the timber.